Welcome back to Fire Engineering's Training Minutes. I'm Jack Gramlich, Deputy Chief of the Spring Lake Fire Department and Training Officer and Lifeguard on the Spring Lake Beach Patrol. Today, we're going to go over entering and exiting open bodies of water. In this particular setting, we're in a marina, and we're unfamiliar with the contour of the bottom and the depth of the water. So it's very important to enter this water safely. We're going to talk about entering with what's called the giant stride method. This is going to keep our head above water and prevent us from dropping to the bottom, risking injury to ourselves. From there, we're going to talk about accessing our victim, getting control of our victim, bringing them to the dock, and getting them up onto the dock using just our manpower alone. We may not always have additional resources available to us, so it's important to develop methods to get these victims to a safe place where we can render medical aid, what have you. In this particular instance, we're looking at about a 2 to 3 elevation between the water and the dock, which is going to prove difficult to get our victim out of the water, especially when we're doing it by ourselves. So we find ourselves here in a marina, an open water environment where we're unfamiliar with the contour of the bottom, the depth of the water. We have various elevations, and we're presented with a water rescue scenario. So what I want to go over today is entering this type of water. We're at a higher elevation, and like I said, we're unfamiliar with the depth or the contour of the bottom. Very prone for an accidental entry here where the rescuer could be injured. We're going to go over what's called a giant stride entry. And the point of the giant stride is to get yourself in the water quickly, efficiently, and safely without dropping to the bottom, potentially injuring yourself, diving with the neck injury, or even just jumping in, puncture wounds to the feet, any sort of injury where you're moving down too fast and you strike the bottom. So the giant stride is just that. We're going to enter the water in a giant stride fashion. Jump from whatever elevation we have to jump from, and as soon as we hit the water, we're going to kick our feet together very quickly in almost like a breaststroke fashion, and then as our upper body hits the water, we're going to fan our arms out. The whole concept of this is to stop our body from dropping to the bottom and keeping our head above water because we don't know the depth and we don't know the contour of the bottom. Today we're using the torpedo as our rescue flotation device. And as discussed in other videos, when we enter the water with the torpedo, we're going to throw that off to our side, and we're just going to do that in the exact same motion as we fan our arms out. So it looks like about probably a 7-foot drop, and we're unfamiliar with the bottom. So I've identified a victim. I've either announced him that we're coming to save him if it's practical to do so, and we're going to enter the water. Again, giant stride. Kick your feet together as you enter the water in a breaststroke fashion, and as your upper body hits, fan out your arms. So when we're removing our victim from the water to the dock, and it's just you with no additional manpower, we see a lot of rescuers really struggle to do that. And what we have here is a floating dock where we're looking at maybe a 1 to 2 foot, maybe even 2.5 foot elevation between the water and the dock. And depending on the size of your victim, it's going to be very difficult to do that by yourself, especially when they're unresponsive or semi-responsive and can't help you. So we're going to grab our victim and we're going to demonstrate doing it. All right, so we have our victim struggling in the water. We're going to do our safe giant stride entry, and then we're going to show you how to get him up on the dock. All right, I'm here to help you, sir. Hang on to the torque. Hang on to that. Good. All right, we'll lock you up. Good. Hold on. Okay. So we've got our victim back to the dock, and as you can see, this is about a 2 to 3 foot elevation, and it's going to be very challenging to get him up here, especially when you're by yourself, and your victim may be semi-responsive, unresponsive, or just generally exhausted from struggling in the water. I'm going to take his first hand and place it up on the dock like so. I'm going to maintain control of him up here. Take his second hand, put it directly on top of his first. Now, I have to get myself out of the water. Maintaining control of the victim here, pull myself out, keeping weight on his hands at all times. Now comes the tough part. We have to get him out of the water. We're going to keep his arms crossed, like so. I'm going to get myself to my feet, We're going to bob him a little bit here because we're going to use the advantage of the water giving him some buoyancy. On the third bob, I'm going to pull him up, twist his arms, and hopefully get his butt up on the dock and lay him out. So, on 3. 1, 2, 3. So from here, he's safely on the dock, and we can begin to render aid, whatever we might have to do. So today we covered entering water that we're unfamiliar with regarding the depth and the contour of the bottom using the giant stride entry. And then we covered getting our victim up to an elevated position using just your own manpower without any additional resources. Nice shot, Mike. Thanks for tuning in to another episode of Fire Engineering's Training Minutes. I'm Jack Gramlich,